letter G. 3 is Bob Toomey, and it's been shortened to a 5-lap race, so a straight-out sprint around here for the senior production.
Canadian-based New Zealander Gary Goodfellow takes the lead on the Suzuki GSX-R 750, and he's the man that won the Canadian 750 Production Championship this year. Very much a hot contender in this particular class. 3 is Bob Toomey, 111 is Aaron Slight on the Yamaha, and there's Slight down. Aaron Slight going down under brakes there at the end of the big long hill there. Looks like he locked up the front brake, but he's up and quite okay.
And to continue.
Not really. He really has to return back to have the motorcycle re-scrutineer, but obviously his chances of continuing the race are now gone.
Looking back for third place now, Bob Toomey pushing Gary Goodfellow. First and second they are. Goodfellow getting away from him in some places on the circuit. And Bob Toomey in his comeback year after a major crash last year. He really was very tentative in last year's series and around the pits with Robert Holden. That's Eddie Kattenberg, I think, in third place on the Suzuki 750. Gary Goodfellow on the GSX-R 750 Suzuki in the lead from Bob Toomey on a similar bike. The GSX-R machines, very, very quick indeed. The new breed of Suzuki and production bikes, the 1100 version of which does something like 166 miles an hour off the shop floor.
Williams will be up into fourth position, certainly a lowly position for him, picking the front wheel up, coming over the top of the hill. Obviously not getting a particularly good start in this race, the senior production event, but he's in fourth position, and Kattenberg is now starting to be wheeled back by Williams.
As you say, Brian, it's an unusual place to see Glenn Williams in. Unless he gets an absolutely terrible start, he can put it with the best of them, particularly on a circuit like this where he has to throw the bike around quite a lot. But Bob Toomey obviously back to his best form of a few years ago. I thought, Graham Crosby, that Bob Toomey may have just lost a little bit of nerve when he made a comeback, but he's obviously back to his best form.
That's true, but I think young Glenn Williams got a terrible start there, and he's been left in a position there where he's got to really work hard. Eddie Kattenberg is somebody that is going to go places real quick too.
Still Gary Goodfellow leading. Bob Toomey hanging on to that second place. Eddie Kattenberg having a go at him. And Glenn Williams in fourth place, closing the gap. Look at Kattenberg having a go at Toomey that time, around the outside. Toomey just sticks to the line. Only 2 laps remain in this race. Kattenberg passed. Toomey into third place. Goodfellow leads. Kattenberg second. Toomey third, Glenn Williams fourth. Looking for Williams now as he comes over the hill. And really losing a little to these riders. One would have expected him to be right up there in the space of a couple of laps. These production bikes, as you've seen from the Formula One races, not a great deal slower or greatly disadvantaged compared to the Grand Prix machines. Probably a little easier to ride around here. Not too many places to pass on the circuit. You've got to be a bit brave to pass down on the lakeside. The top end of the circuit is the place where they are getting the passing manoeuvres going.
Gary Goodfellow, of course, a former top motocross rider, and he's been residing in Canada for the last 5 or 6 years. And this, in actual fact, is only his 3rd season of road racing. So far this year in Canada, he picked up the Canadian 750 Production Championship, the British Columbian 750 Championship, and was runner-up in both the British Columbian and Canadian Superbike Championships. So certainly in just 2 seasons, he's really made a name for himself in road racing.
On the last lap now, still Gary Goodfellow from Eddie Kattenberg, Bob Toomey, and Glenn Williams in 4th place.
Really bad tank slap is coming over the top of the hill, but Kattenberg is closing in now on Gary Goodfellow, and with just around about 3/4 of a lap to go, Goodfellow is certainly going to have to watch it. Kattenberg making up a little bit of ground under brakes there, and he's only got the very difficult part of the lake now to negotiate, which, as you mentioned earlier on, is certainly not the easiest place to pass. To stay on the back of somebody like Gary Goodfellow is one thing, but to pass is certainly another.
Eddie Kattenberg, a man who, when he started road racing on production bikes a few years ago, was labelled as somebody who was perhaps someone who took some risks. His riding has improved greatly. He still has that hard charging aspect to his riding, but it's tidied up considerably.
I think he once had a name, Eddie Kattenberg. I'm not too sure if it's actually true, but going by the performances lately, I think he's living up to that one.
So coming up to the start finish now to get the checkered flag. Gary Goodfellow hanging on. Eddie Kattenberg still pushing him for all his worth. Having a look either side. But I think Goodfellow will hang on to it. Coming up to the checkered flag now. Oh, Kattenberg just having a look around the outside. Goodfellow knew he was there. Holds on. Bob Toomey third. Glenn Williams. But Gary Goodfellow, a good win in the senior production race, the first of the series. And he's the man to watch. I'm sure he will have some races, as we've said before. Robert Holden not able to be here today, but at the other street circuits, I'm sure he will race along with Gary Goodfellow, the winner of the first senior production. Let us see.